Welcome, everyone, to In Other Worlds, the LitRPG Game Lit and Fantasy podcast. I am your host, Jess, and today we are sitting down with the amazing new author, CJ Astrea. CJ, how are you?
I am great, tired but good.
I mean, you're up a little bit early for you, I would imagine.
It's true. Just a couple hours early, so not too bad. Could be worse.
Well, I appreciate you waking up to talk to me.
Of course. Wouldn't miss it.
So, so you have your first novel is already out, and the second book in the series came out today, June 1st.
Yes.
Although this episode, by the time this episode releases, it will already have been out for about a week.
Yeah.
So The Celestial Twins is the name of the series. Book one is Gemini. Give us a little bit of a rundown on the series.
So Gemini takes place in the tutorial, where basically, it's classic system game lit apocalypse tutorial type stuff. You have to clear these towers to unlock certain aspects of this magical system called the Weave. And the twins are doing it in order to find their parents. And along the way, they end up meeting their friends, Yara and Calum, and they find this guy, Lucian, who's a total D-bag. Yeah, he's not great. But they work together and clear these towers and everything. Then they eventually meet Hana, who is the ice mage. She's kind of like their mascot at first originally, and ends up having to grow into herself. And the whole story is basically just my nod to unhealthy coping mechanisms and trauma responses. And each character represents a different one of my own shortcomings in that regard. So it's just them trying to keep each other alive while dealing with all the PTSD and trauma of billions of people dying all around them, and they can't really do anything about it. So that's basically what it is. Also, there's a lot of anime fights and giant kaijus and super anime attack call outs, and it's really cool.
And now you have said in other interviews that you chose two MCs because you're not really, I mean, the main overpowered MC is really overdone kind of
it
at
is.
This point. That's
in my
95% of the books are just one main MC who murder hobos everything.
Yeah. Now, I don't want to get that misconstrued, though, because even though I say that, I do still love those stories. Like,
well, some of them are fantastic, yes.
Primal Hunter is one of my favorite books of all time.
Yeah.
And that is the epitome of the solo lone wolf murder hobo MC. And it's still one of my favorite books of all time. The problem is their oversaturation, and especially, like, I don't want to get too much into that, but the AI thing where everybody's just copying the same style, which is just completely oversaturating the market with the same murder hobo MC. And it's just the same guy over and over with a different name. And so, yeah, Celestial Twins is kind of my counter to that. Plus, I mean, it's just fun to have a twin dynamic and a sibling dynamic in a lit RPG. Like, I don't know if you read Defiance of the Fall, but Kinsey and Zach's relationship in the first, 3 books, their brother-sister relationship, I love that so much because it's so organic. And I just wish more books had that. It's just cool to me.
Yeah. So what made you pick twins versus just two friends or two just normal siblings?
Honestly, I have a pair of, I have cousins who are identical male-female twins who kind of look like Callan and Arya.
Okay.
Like, they're both blonde, they both have green eyes. They're identical. He's taller than she is, and yeah, I wouldn't say that they're the basis for it, but once I decided I was writing two twins, I decided, yeah, they're gonna look like these guys because I can imagine these two pretty vividly.
Do they know that you kind of modeled your main characters off them?
I don't even think they know I wrote a book.
That's so
I don't
funny.
really talk to my family that much on any side, but those two are probably the two I was closest to growing up for a while, so it just kind of worked out that way. But I was an only child, but I had lots of cousins and step cousins and family that was always around. So the found family aspect was always very important to me, and so I knew I wanted to do that. And I was like, well, why not just you can have found family, but why not also twins? Plus, you could do so many cool, twin telepathy things, and which I love doing because it's just, adds to the mystery and stuff, and I don't have to write as much dialogue.
I mean, twins are kind of known for being able to communicate with each other without actually really communicating.
Oh, yeah.
That's just one of those things that you
Which I found out was a real
I'm not a
thing.
twin, so I have no idea.
Yeah, me neither. And I found out that was a real thing after I did it, and I was like, oh, cool, I'm good. This is real. Like, a couple different people have reached out to me and been like, "Are you a twin?" Because like this is accurate. I was like, "Nope, only child."
I mean, you nailed it then.
Yeah, I got
Good
lucky.
job. Did you do any research on twins
No,
beforehand?
not a single iota.
You just played it by ear.
With everything. I think I started researching stuff maybe halfway through Resonance, and then I started writing stuff down, like actually like keeping notes and stuff and keeping track of things in like the last 4 chapters of Resonance. So I had to go back and write like series Bibles and character like growth
Oh my
charts and
gosh.
everything in the last 4 chapters of Resonance. Because I didn't, it was
So you
all
just
just in my
had to
head
keep
before
it
that.
all in your head.
Yeah. And I did successfully, but then people were like, hey, how are you doing this? I was like, I guess this kind of looks weird. So I'll write it down.
I mean, if it works for you, it works for you.
Yeah.
So at the very beginning of book one is when the apocalypse happens.
Yes.
And they twins find out that there's only roughly a what 5% survival rate for the tutorial.
Yeah. For their specific tutorial, yeah. Their little group. So it doesn't really touch on it much, but there are multiple different there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of tutorials going on all at the same time.
Oh.
This group and a handful of others are in 5% tutorials. The ones that we see in the epilogue, they are not. We don't see any of the other ones. We don't meet any of the other factions that were in 5% tutorials until book 3. Um, but they're like, everyone else had like 10, 20, 25, 30, 50% survival rates, some higher, some lower. Um, but the twins' whole thing is very much the most dangerous one there is.
And these are all people from Earth or people from everywhere?
People from Earth, and they're just kind of scattered in and just thrown in. Fate has a little bit to do with it, which is why Yara being from Brazil is in there with the twins, and Caleb being from Ireland, Hana being from Japan. Their Fate kind of has a play in everything
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't want to just have it set geographically because that's lame. I want that multicultural vibe, and Gemini very much is a multicultural vibe, like with
Oh,
everyone.
yeah. Oh, it most definitely is.
And so
Yeah.
I really like that aspect. Plus, I get to have fun with like making up voices in my head and practicing my own version of their lines and stuff in different accents, and it's very fun. I want to add like a Samoan guy into book 3, and so I've been practicing like that accent just subconsciously in my head, and it's so much fun.
Did you come up with where they were from before you created the character and come up with the accent, or did you create the character without that background in and try it in different voices?
It kind of happened all at the same time. So, like the twins, I mean, they were always in my head. I always knew they were going to be the stars. And then the next person that came up was Yara, or I guess Lucian technically, but he doesn't really count. And then Yara, I came up with because I have these 2 daggers that I have hanging on my wall. I have a lot of swords and different types of weapons just hanging on my wall because I like collecting them. But I saw these like elvish, almost like long daggers, and
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at those and I was like, I need a new character. I was looking at those and then immediately just Yara popped into my head and I was like, Brazilian, wolf cut, yellow eyes, total chaos gremlin, flirty bitch. And then it kind of just evolved from there.
And she is.
That she is.
Boy, is she.
I love Yara so much. She's the closest to me in so many regards, and I love it.
You're a flirty bitch too.
Oh, unintentionally, entirely unintentionally, but
That's
yes.
but that's that innocent unintentional way is the most fun way to be.
And it's so great because she's so different from me though because she is constantly reading the room. Like you see it
Mm-hmm.
especially when they find Hana, and she's like, she makes the joke, but then she like we go into her head for a second, she realizes, oh, push too far, pull back, and so we get those moments where we see like, oh, she's like constantly observing everything, and that's really just who she is like she's the one who tries to keep the morale up, which I love.
She does a pretty good job of that too.
She does. I love Yara so much. Her and Caleb's whole romance subplot is my favorite thing in the world to write.
It was so sweet.
I know.
It was so sweet.
I love it. And I'm so bad at romance in my personal life. It's amazing I can write such healthy toxicity in a book.
It's usually the way it goes.
Right? Like but they are so like all the relationships are so healthily toxic and like they all have their ups and downs. Like the twins are entirely too codependent on each other. And then Caleb and Yara are just the weirdest mixed bag of traumas. And then Hana is just nothing but imposter syndrome in book one, which is great for character development, which happens very rapidly. But it's kind of hard to read in book one, I think. But they're just so fun.
Yeah.
It's so fun to
Well,
write them.
and that imposter syndrome that she has really is what pushes her to work as hard as she does
100%.
to get better and not hold the group back and not fall behind.
Exactly.
It works
Yeah.
for her.
And she has a major transformation in book two, which I'm sure some people watching this have already seen, but she goes through quite the change here coming up. And it's so cool. I love Hana's character so much as she's growing. Because she's never like each book has a main side character. Like Yara is obviously the main side character for book one. Caleb is the main side character for book two. Hana will be the main side character for book three. And her subtle growth throughout books one and two into book three is so impactful to her character. It's crazy that she's not had her moment yet.
Yeah, she's probably my second favorite character.
Who is your favorite?
In book one? So it's two characters are my favorite. One a little bit more than the other, but the twins' parents.
Really?
Yeah,
That's a first.
I loved the twins' parents. And I don't. I'm not going to go into too much detail about them.
Yeah.
We can talk about that after. But just the way that they act when they are brought into the book and the things that they,
that was good.
I love. They were my favorite. All right, so book one, their tutorial that they're going through, they have to defeat towers. I think it's 5 towers they have to defeat.
3 first, and then they have the final tower. They end up going through 5, but that's mostly for training. Yeah.
So each tower is a little bit different, and it's almost like Mario levels. Like they're all just different.
Shitty water levels.
Yeah. So how did you come up with the themes for the different towers?
I don't really know if I did. It's kind of hard to explain. Like the way my brain works is I'll like see like a thing off in the distance, like a mushroom or like a leaf or an aurora or something, a shooting star, and my brain will just automatically connect that to the weirdest shit, and that'll turn into either a new monster or into a new setting or location or a tower or a quest, something, and or I'll hear like a song and it'll somehow trigger something. Like I remember the Tower of Fractured Skies, the second tower they go into, that was entirely because of what song was that? I think it was Stairway to Heaven is what brought that on. And I was like, this doesn't make sense, but it kind of makes sense. Giant bird kind of acting like the angel, I guess. I don't know. My brain does weird things, and then it just pops a movie into my head, and I'm like, okay, I'll write that.
And so you're very much a pantser then.
Oh, yeah, kind of, sort of. I think I have a general outline. I know, like, we need Tower 1, we need Tower 2, we need Tower 3. And then the details, I'm very pants on. But, like, what needs to happen, like, the main plot points, those are all very much planned out.
So were there any towers that you thought of after the fact or didn't get to put in the book that you wish were in the book?
There was one that I wanted to do, and it was Lucian's like whole first tower. Actually, all of their first towers. I wanted to do a big novella for, just to like show like how they all started in the tutorial before they met the twins. And
that would have been fun.
I've tried writing it like 8 times, and I just can't make it work, and I don't know why. I think it's because I've already moved past it, and because I think I mentioned this before, but like. Originally Arya was going to go with Lucian. That was the original plan, and I ended up skipping a chapter because I couldn't make the dialogue or something work, and so I skipped it. And by the time I had moved on, I'd already done like 2 or 3 chapters ahead, and I was like, well, this works way better than what I was planning, so I just never went back. And that tends to be how it goes. Is I just, if I skip something, I won't go back to it. I just can't. Like my brain
Yeah.
just won't allow me to. And I think that's the problem I'm having with these novellas is that I know subconsciously these are like their prologues, and so I can't write them because I didn't write them before. So
That kind of checks out.
yeah,
And I'm glad that she did not go with him because I would have been very angry. I would have
it
been
was
so mad.
it was gonna be like a manipulation type deal where like she wasn't gonna willingly go with him, but I like the idea of her like kicking him in the chest with a knife way better. So
Yeah.
it works out.
Yeah. I thought he was going to kidnap her at one point, and
That was kind of the intent,
I was very mad. I was very mad.
but yeah.
And now the other people who end up not really in the tutorial, but kind of in the tutorial. So they're I think they're called hollows.
Yes.
So explain to me why are they hollows? What is a hollow?
So
They
a
eventually
hollow,
end up in the tutorial.
yes. So their parents were actually hollows too. There were I think 125 people that were basically like they were the ones who didn't select their class by the end of the countdown, and so they were held in reserve. They were like, "Listen, if you can't do this, we're just going to hold you in stasis, and we're going to throw you into a more dangerous section here. Hopefully, you can find somebody who's going to protect your ass because you're too indecisive." And so that's basically who the Hollows were. And the reason I did that is because I really wanted a reason to have the twins need to progress. And the Weave and the Hollows system and all that was all just kind of too perfect for it. But then also, I wanted factions to be very integral to this multiverse because not enough people focus on like the faction building aspect, and like nobody can like there's the whole like Taoist cultivator thing where it's like a cultivator challenges the heavens alone, whatever. I'm like, that's bullshit. You have sects. You don't like every sect has thousands of cultivators that all work together to strive together, so you're literally not
Yeah.
following your own principle, so it's not true. Just deal with it. And it goes back to the murder hobo solo MC, and it all cultivates back there. But that's why at the end of the book one, you see that like, oh, you need a whole faction to finish this final tower to get out of the tutorial because it is a necessary aspect in the multiverse. So that's where the Hollows came from. Was just my idea of trying to force faction politics, which I think worked out pretty
Yeah.
well.
I like that. You're so indecisive that you can't pick your class. So we're going to stick you into an even more dangerous situation.
Yeah. Well, because the
you
system
know.
is merciless. The system does not
Yeah,
deal
I
with
mean,
mercy. It's not
yeah.
actively antagonistic, but it's not gonna handhold. It's not gonna
Right.
help you out. It's gonna force you into these situations where you're forced to grow because that's its directive is to create the strongest soldiers it can. That's what it's for. And that's a very common, system trope that, it's like the system is here to make you stronger and not to,
Mhm.
make you pathetic type situation. And it's very much that. All the hollows that survive, they're all way stronger for it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
like
They are.
uh like the group of teenagers, Tanner, Mira, Nate, Farouk, and Iretti, they're all the ones who survive, they're all like lieutenants in Gemini now. Like they're up there with right underneath Cal and Arya and the rest. And
Nice.
I love that because it's very much true to their nature because they saw what is possible, and they were the ones who were like, you know what? We got this. We can do this.
And I can't recall after they are put into the tutorial. I
Mhm.
know some of them pick crafting classes.
Yes.
Can they pick fighting classes at that point? Or are they stuck without them because they didn't pick them in the beginning?
So the crafting classes are like everybody has a fighting class to begin with. They have one of the original four classes. And
Mhm.
then once they all reach level 10 and the faction actually becomes a faction, then they could choose to change over to a non-combatant class. However, they do still keep their fighting class skills. So like a builder or a cook can still, throw an energy beam at somebody. They still
Right.
have the ability to fight if they need to. They're not completely defenseless, and they can still use their non-combatant skills in creative combat ways. But it's more like I think it's something like 75% of all of humanity took a non-combat class, which is pretty accurate, I think. In fact, I think that's probably a little low of a number. Um, I think most people in reality, if we were given the option in this situation, would probably take the safer route, which is the non-combat class.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to show that, because that's why so many people chose non-combat classes in the tutorial, and why there's only like, so many fighters, but they all still fight when the time comes, because if you don't fight, you die. You just, you're a little more protected than everybody else though, which
Yeah.
is good for them.
Yeah, and we need crafting classes.
You
So
absolutely, yeah. I mean, who's going to support the fighters? Who's going to cook the
exactly.
meals? Who's gonna fix their
Make
armor?
the potions
Who's
and
gonna make the potions and the
yeah.
exploding potion bombs? And who's gonna do all who's gonna do all these things?
Yeah. Yeah. Now the fighting classes, they do have the ability to unlock bloodlines.
Everyone does.
So where did you come up with this idea for bloodlines, and how do you determine which characters can unlock them and which ones they unlock?
So you see more of it in book 2 especially, but also in book 3 a little bit, where bloodlines are innate in a way, but there are different ways you can get them. So like Yara's bloodline, for example, is uh kind of one of those ones that she was not really born with, but born to, and then the system gave it to them. And then the twins, the system had nothing to do with it. They're, as a unique bloodline, they are completely outside of the system's purview, which is why they're unique and why the system can't control it. But it can influence the system. But as far as like just random people, I mean, there are all different types of bloodlines, and I explained this all a lot in what I just wrote in book 3. But it's like there are innate bloodlines to race, because we get race changes in book 2, and then
Ooh.
yeah, it's great. And then some of them are as low as affinities, like you have the space affinity now, you have the life affinity, whatever. And then
Mm-hmm.
some are as low as like, oh, your hair changes colors, cool. But then some of them are very, very much oriented towards combat. So as far as deciding who gets what, is with like the non-main cast, I don't really focus on it too much. Like if
Mm-hmm.
they have them, they have them. If they have like this cool special little thing that they can do, like somebody can grow their arm twice as long or something. That's just that it's. I'm not going to call it out specifically, but
Right.
bloodlines are just these little trinkets, these little extra little power buffs that some people have, and then
Mm.
some people get really good ones.
Very excited for book 2 now.
Hey, it's available. Go check it out on
I'm gonna
Amazon
be.
and
Hey, listen,
KU.
I'm. As soon as we log off here, I'm gonna be picking it up.
It's honestly, Resonance is so much better than Gemini in my opinion, and
Yeah.
it worlds above. Like I look back at my writing for Gemini and even at Resonance now, and I'm like, man, I did not know what I was doing. Like I didn't know what prose was until I finished Gemini. I didn't know what the
I think
word
that's.
meant.
I think that's pretty typical of first time newer authors. Though,
Yeah.
is 5 years from now, you're gonna be writing your, I don't know, 12th or 15th book, and you'll look back at these and be like, oh my god, I was horrible.
Yeah. But no, the fact that so many people glaze up Gemini so much, and I'm just like, man, I can't even go back and reread Gemini. Like I cringe
Aw.
at every chapter. I will say, I mentioned earlier that I can't really go back and do any and fix things. I did with one chapter in Gemini. One chapter, I finished the whole book, and then I went back and added it, and that was the Gemini duel, and the one where Callan and Arya spar in the middle of camp.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote that in after I'd finished the entire book.
I think that needed to happen though.
It 100% did.
For
They
the
were
two
way
of them, but
too,
also for everyone else.
yeah. They needed that show of this is what people can do without powers.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was a really cool addition that I added. But yeah, but that's like the one thing where I'm just like, I go back and I relook at the stuff I've already done, and I'm just like, this is kind of ass. And then I look at what I'm doing now, and I'm like, that was really ass. And then but especially like in my dialogue and stuff, my dialogue in Gemini was very sitcom-y, which is it's fixed now. I've gotten better, but even in book 2, it's a little sitcom-y. And then writing my grimdark series definitely helped with learning how to dialogue properly, because it's a lot of like especially because it's first person, so it's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
internal dialogue, and I got a lot better with it from that, I think, which is good. I needed to, because I needed that level up.
And you'll
Yeah,
every book you write, you'll continue to improve. And
I'm excited to see my peak. I think that'll be interesting. I have an idea for the series I want to write when I get to that point.
so, what do you think your most difficult scene to write in Gemini was?
There are two. I would say Yara and Caleb getting together. That was really hard for me because I wanted to make sure that it felt genuine,
Mm-hmm.
but I also needed these two characters who, have been kind of tiptoeing around each other this whole time to actually feel. I wanted to feel the awkwardness, and I feel like I got that across pretty well.
It was awkward.
And
They
in
were
the best
awkward.
way, because they're
Yeah.
awkwardish, they're awkward little shits, and I love them.
It was cute
Um,
awkward.
exactly, and that's the best I could hope for. And then it's just getting worse, by the way, in book 2 and 3. Their awkwardness never fades. They're just much more bold with it now.
Yes.
But I think the hardest scene was, spoiler warning, the parents' death scene. So watching them heal through it and get past it is helping me get past it, which is why I often say that you guys are just reading my therapy logs. And that's really all it is, because that's really what it is, And that is a big reason why I keep writing Celestial Twins, because that is the core message. Like, terrible shit happens. This is not just a game. This is reality, at least
Yeah.
for them. And terrible shit will happen and will keep happening. Will you keep moving forward, or are you going to let it beat you?
Yeah.
And for my depression riddled ass, it's very easy to say, no, I'm just going to let it beat me. But then I see my characters and they're in my head and they tell me, no, yep, we can do it.
They
So can
can do
you.
it. So can you.
Look at all this shit we're going through.
Yep.
And you think your problems matter? No.
Yep.
So
Let's see you
it's
go through a tutorial with 5% survival rate.
exactly facts. I want to get that tattooed on me. Get that on a t-shirt. That peak marketing right there. But that's exactly what it is. Like, it helps me, which is why I publish it and why I write it. But then it helps other
Yeah.
people too, which just makes it 1,000 times better.
Yeah.
Like, I got a DM not long after I put out Gemini where somebody actually reached out and they told me, hey, I just lost my parents in a car accident or something, whatever it was. And it Gemini, seeing them deal with that and go through everything with their parents really helped them with their own grief. And
Yeah.
I cried for like a solid hour after I read that.
Aw.
And I was like, well, shit, like, because when my mom died, it was Cradle that brought me out of it, and it was
Mm-hmm.
the first thing that got me back into reading, and it really like opened my eyes to like, oh, this progression fantasy, just overcoming obstacles and all these issues, like, people can't overcome these things. And
Yeah.
for me to be able to do that for somebody with my little shitty story about star twins, it was really, it hit the right place, and in the best
Good.
way. Yeah.
Good. How many books do you think will be in the series?
Probably 9, I think, because I want to do like 3 sets of trilogies. So we have
Mm-hmm.
the fight, survive, and thrive trilogy, and because marketing, and
Yeah.
and each one is going to cover something different. So like books 1 through 3 are like the setup, they're the tutorial, it's getting your faction base set up, and then the prelude into like the faction wars. And then the second set will be like the faction wars, and all that good stuff, and starting to expand into the multiverse, because the multiverse opens up after the faction wars.
Ooh.
And then the third set will be like intergalactic war type fun stuff. Like, we go out, we leave Earth behind, and we're having to travel across the multiverse trying to stop the big bad, and it's gonna be good stuff.
Nice. So after the tutorial, do they go back to Earth? Do they leave the tutorial and go back to Earth?
A very changed Earth.
That was going to be my next question: is how different is it once they go back?
Well, there's floating islands, so
Oh,
yeah,
that's new.
and the continent that they're on is, I actually, it's really funny. So I was drawing out the map, because Morpheus is doing maps for me too, and I was drawing out the map of the new continent, and I just held the stylus on my iPad, and then I just let the truck vibrations like move it around, and it ended up Australia.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're essentially on a Australia-sized and almost shaped continent. There,
Interesting.
yeah, there are at least three other megacontinents that we know of, plus a bunch of archipelagos, where all the major factions are and stuff. And this is probably the smallest of the megacontinents, but it's about Australia size. Like from south to north, I think it's 2,500 kilometers, so it's about 4,000 miles, give or take.
Big.
My math might be wrong on that or switched. I'm not sure, but yeah. It's huge, but they can cross it in just a few days because super speed.
So when they leave the tutorial and they go back to Earth, does their faction come with them? Do they all stick together and go to the same place?
They do indeed, and then even the vultures are on the same continent, which is
Ugh.
fun times. I will say, I give Malric a redemption arc. I'll spoil that much for you. It's not a good redemption arc at all.
I
You're
mean,
gonna hate him a lot more before you start liking him, and you're probably not gonna start liking him until book 4. But
I didn't like him, but I didn't necessarily hate him in book
exactly,
one because Lucian was kind of,
in his head, and he still
kind of
is.
digging around in the
Even
back with brain and influencing things. So
yeah,
I didn't necessarily hate him, but I didn't like him.
even in book 2, Lucian's influence is still there, and it's
Hmm.
it's very apparent. I'm not gonna say anything else away, but yeah, Malric does make a return in book 2, and you're gonna hate him again before you start liking him. But he fucks up a lot.
Hmm.
But he's always
Well,
trying to make the right decision. He's trying to do the right thing by his people, which is the important part. He just does it in the worst ways possible because he's an idiot. But again, that's partly me, so I can't really blame him too much because I do the
well,
same
we're
thing.
all just gonna have to read book two to find out.
You just gotta read book 2.
We're just
It's
gonna have to read
available
book
now on
two.
Amazon. Go check it out.
Yeah, go pick it up on Amazon. Yay!
Go read
And
it.
I'll link to the Amazon page too, so it'll
Yeah.
be very easy to find.
And by the time this comes out, the paperback will be available, I think. So
Fantastic. So what is next? I know you're talking about the Grimdark series. What is the title of that one?
that is The Blacksmith's Son, Book 1, The Gentle Blade.
The Gentle Blade. Give us kind of a so we know he starts off at 9
Yeah. He starts
and it
off like
follows
this
him into
really,
adulthood.
yeah, so he's a very diminutive, pretty boy. Like, he looks like his mama, which is a very much a compliment for him. But he's got scarlet hair and crimson eyes. He looks 2 or 3 years younger
Ooh.
than everybody else around him. And it starts off with him just living in the village, and it's just this little backwater village. He's the son of the local blacksmith, and one day the a priest from the church arrives, and we get the whole lore with the goddesses and the three goddesses: Hermesta, Visteria, and Antoria, the goddesses of order or balance, light, and darkness. And we find out there's these innate powers that people's souls have called Rama, which is my interpretation of like a almost like a bloodline, but not really. It's just kind of an innate ability that some people have, but they always have a cost, and
Hmm.
and the cost is pretty severe in most cases. Like, you find out in like chapter 2 that the dad of the main character Corin has a Rama that allows him to forge soul weapons. Like, it's
Ooh.
basically this ring that, like, this molten hot ring that he implants into your soul physically, and it like kind of nurtures. Gets nurtured by your soul and forms into a soul weapon that you can draw and use whatever. But when he uses it, it takes half of his soul to create it. So by the
Hmm.
end of it, he's essentially soulless, and his entire soul is in these soul weapons. And like, the costs get very real and very serious. But he ends up, you know, I don't know how much I want to give away. So the village gets destroyed, and he gets taken as a slave by the church and by the Duke's men, and ends up in the mines for a few years, where he meets other people and he learns to fight, and that's where he grows up for the most part for a few years before ending up transferring into the arena under the Duke's influence, and he ends up having become a gladiator. So it's very classic there for the gladiatorial style fights every other chapter, and a lot of trauma, a lot of torture, a lot of people who don't deserve it being killed right in front of him for no fucking reason other than to to break him. And because that's
Hmm.
the whole point of it, is that people can tell there's something off with this kid, but they can't tell what it is, but they want it. And so that's pretty much all I'm willing to give away before you read any more.
So when is that one going to be out?
Oh God. Like I said, I was gonna have it out for the con. At this point, though, it'll probably be late August, maybe early September. It'll really just depend on how much time I have to market it and all that. But the pre-order will be available at LitRPG Con. You'll be able to come and scan a QR code and do all that. And I'll have posters for I'm gonna be bringing a lot of merch and stuff, like small stuff. I'm bringing my truck, so a lot of it will be sold out in the parking lot, which will be fun.
Heck yeah! I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, but it'll help me save on hotel costs because I can just sleep in my truck. But I'll be having a lot of posters for like the cover and for some character art that I've had made, and same with Celestial Twins. All that'll be the same, and then you have some of the posters, but we'll have even more because I like posters, and yeah, it's gonna be great. But yeah, probably mid to late August is what I'm shooting for. It might be pushed to early September, but we'll see.
Okay. Well, that's going to be an interesting story, and I look forward to that one.
I'm excited, man. Like if you like grimdark at all, apparently it's pretty good. I've never read a grimdark book, which is funny to say because I wrote one, but I think my interpretation on it is probably less grim. It's much less nihilistic than what I've heard others are. It will definitely get there. This is definitely not a hero's story. It's not a classic chosen one hero's journey type crap. No, this is just a kid who's been pushed way too far. And his mental state is very much that of a kid who's been pushed way too far, and he breaks and he snaps and he goes, I give him this, I tried to therapize him a little bit, and like how he recedes into himself, and he calls it the cold. And that's like basically him retreating into himself. And I try to show real trauma responses that he's having, like, the retreating and the exploding and all this stuff. Like he gets very, very cold, but the people around him try to keep him uplifted, but then they start dropping one by one, and it's just harder and harder for him to stay a good person. And the whole series is going to probably be 4 books. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to that.
It's going to be good. I'm excited.
So I think that's everything that I had for you. Was there anything that you wanted to mention that I didn't ask about?
I don't know. I can't think of anything. We got your favorite characters out of the way, which was interesting take on the parents. I think I've officially now heard every named character at least, for who's everybody's favorites. And almost nobody says Callan or Arya, which is very telling to me. But it's valid. It's fair. I think that's pretty much it as far as Gemini goes. We can't really talk more until you've read Resonance, but because that's when shit hits the fan. But so I can't wait to do another one of these once you've read up on Resonance and we get to go over that and talk spoilers. I love spoilers.
Heck yeah. So where can everyone find you?
On Instagram, which I don't really use. TikTok, obviously. I mean, that's all I really use nowadays. Goodreads, it does exist, and Amazon. Just look up CJ Astrea.
I will link to the Instagram, the TikTok, the Amazon, and the Goodreads.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming and talking to me and hanging out.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everyone else, for sticking around and hanging out with us as well. Don't forget to pick up book 1. Book 2 is now out, so you can read book 1 and then pick up book 2 also. And
they are going to be going on sale too for LitRPG Con. So if you don't have a chance to go to LitRPG Con and you want to get a copy of the ebook at least, I'll be making both of them free for the weekend of the con.
Fantastic. Even better.
Yeah.
Now there's no excuse to not pick them up.
No excuses not to read it. And make sure you leave a review so that I know what you think, because I will change things. And shit changes a lot.
And Amazon reviews are very important. All right. Well, that's everything I have. Thank you, CJ. Thank you, everybody else. And keep leveling up.